Ria was running late to her college class, juggling her books, her coffee, and the chaos that came with being 21 in Mumbai. Her phone buzzed in her hand, an unknown number flashing on the screen. She sighed, about to ignore it, but something made her answer. On the other end was a guy named Araf, confused, annoyed, and very sure that she had his phone. Ria thought it was a pranker until she realized the phone in her hand wasn't hers either. That morning, at a crowded cafe copyright near Bandra station, two strangers had picked up each other's phones by mistake. Both had the same model, same black cover, and neither noticed until the calls started pouring in. What started as an accidental swap turned into something much more complicated, and possibly the beginning of a story neither of them saw coming. Araf was nothing like Ria, where she was messy and impulsive. He was calculated and always in control. A finance intern with a love for order and spreadsheets, Araf didn't believe in destiny, just timing and logic. Ria, on the other hand, believed that everything happened for a reason. She doodled on her notebooks, chased sunsets with her camera, and thought chaos was a part of life's rhythm. And yet, here they were, thrown into each other's worlds thanks to one wrongly dialed call and two very similar phones. At first, it was frustrating. Araf had important work messages Ria kept accidentally opening. Ria had her half-finished poems and personal photos now exposed to a stranger. Their conversations started with complaints, sarcasm, and the mutual decision to meet up and switch back as soon as possible. But Mumbai traffic, deadlines, and clashing schedules kept pushing that meeting further and further. And with every day, their short, awkward calls turned longer, filled with laughter, little arguments, and shared secrets they hadn't told anyone else. Through each other's phones, they got glimpses into each other's lives, voice notes from friends, reminders, music playlists, and even the quiet spaces between calls. And slowly, what was supposed to be a one-day mix-up started feeling like a strange, unexpected connection neither of them wanted to end. But just when Ria was starting to wonder if this was fate playing games, something changed. Araf stopped picking up. The usual good morning messages didn't come. And when Ria tried calling him again, the line went dead. That's when she realized something wasn't right. Maybe it wasn't just about a swapped phone anymore. Maybe there was something Araf wasn't telling her. And just like that, a simple mistake turned into a mystery she couldn't ignore. What really happened to Araf, and what secrets were still hidden in that phone? Stay tuned for part 2 of Love Dialed Wrong. Chaos. On call. Ria stared at her screen for what felt like hours. The words call failed flashing again and again. She had tried texting to her once, twice, 5 times, said just in case his phone was off or out of battery. But something inside her said this wasn't just bad network. Araf was the kind of person who replied within minutes. Even when he was annoyed, even when they were arguing about something as silly as ringtone choices or missed alarms. He never just vanished. The silence now felt heavy, like a missing piece in her day. She replayed their last voice note exchange, searching for anything she might have missed. His tone had sounded normal, maybe a little tired. He had said something about a meeting running late and mentioned they should finally swap phones on Saturday at Carter Road. That was just 2 days away. Now he was gone, like he had disappeared into thin air. Feeling restless, Ria opened his phone again, as something she had promised herself she wouldn't do unless absolutely necessary. But this felt necessary now. She scrolled past the usual apps until she saw a note titled Pending Things. It was vague, short, more like a checklist: call mom, pay rent, return watch, delete a broken bar. The last word was cut off. That was it. No dates, no explanation. But that word a deleter lingered in her head. Delete what? And why the hesitation? Ria wasn't one to pry. She hated the idea of snooping. But Araf had become more than just a voice on the other end of the line. He had somehow crept into her routine, her thoughts. And now, his sudden absence was setting off alarms in her mind she didn't quite know how to silence. She tried calling the last few contacts from his call log. One number went straight to voicemail. Another was a delivery guy. The third was saved as Dev. Don't pick up. That one sent a chill down her spine. Her finger hovered over it, unsure. Who was Dev? And why did Araf feel the need to warn himself? The more she looked, the more she noticed things that didn't add up. A message from an unknown number saying you said you'd handle it. A hidden photo album locked with a passcode she couldn't guess. It was like opening a door that led to more doors, each one raising more questions than answers. Whatever Araf had been caught up in, Rhea was now a part of it. And maybe, just maybe, she had been from the start. The next morning, Rhea woke up with a strange mix of anxiety and determination. She couldn't shake off the feeling that something was very wrong. The more she thought about that contacted they don't pick up her, the more it bothered her. Why was that warning there? What kind of person would Araf need to avoid so badly that he'd remind himself in his own phone? She finally gave in and dialed the number. It rang once, then twice, then a click. Who is this? A deep voice answered. Cold, direct, not curious or just suspicious. Rhea froze for a second. I'm calling from Araf's phone. He's not reachable. Do you know where he is? Silence, then a laugh, but not the kind you want to hear. If he's smart, he'll stay unreachable. The line went dead. Rhea stared at the screen, her heart thudding. She didn't know who Dev was, but it was clear this wasn't just about a lost phone anymore. Something darker was under the surface. Something Araf never told her. Over the next few days, Rhea started piecing together what little she could. Araf had mentioned the freelance gig in between his internship or something tech-related, under-the-table work to make extra cash. She had assumed it was tutoring or coding, but now she wasn't so sure. A half-written email in his drafts mentioned access codes and a data dump before Friday, and the message from that unknown number you said you'd handle it suddenly felt a lot more dangerous. Rhea started wondering if Araf had trusted the wrong people, or maybe he had been the wrong person. But either way, she couldn't turn back now, because somewhere inside that phone was a truth nobody wanted found. And maybe that's exactly why Araf had disappeared. Rhea couldn't sleep anymore. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Araf's face from his contact photo, smiling, unaware, frozen in time. She kept the phone close like it might suddenly ring, like his name might flash across the screen and everything would go back to normal. But it never did. Instead, something else happened. Late one night, a message appeared on the screen. No contact name, just a number. It said, "You have what belongs to us. Meet at Gateway. Midnight. Come alone." Rhea's stomach dropped. She read it 3 times to be sure. There was no mistaking it now. This was bigger than a lost phone or a misdial. Araf had gotten involved in something dangerous. Something that didn't want to be found out. And now, by holding onto his phone, she was involved too. She debated for hours whether to go. She tried reporting to the police, but without any clear crime or identity proof, no one took her seriously. Even her friends thought she was overthinking it. But she knew, this wasn't a coincidence. It was a tripper and a clue at the same time. So she decided to go, not because she wasn't scared, but because if Araf was in trouble, she might be the only one who still cared enough to find him. She dressed plainly, slipped the phone into her bag, and headed out into the night. As she neared Gateway of India, the usually buzzing spot was eerily quiet. Her phone buzzed again. Don't speak. Drop the phone near the bench and walk away. Her hands trembled. She scanned the dark, but couldn't see anyone clearly, just silhouettes and shadows. Then, just as she was about to place the phone down, someone grabbed her wrist from behind. Everything went black. Rhea's eyes snapped open, her head pounding and vision spinning. She was in the back seat of a moving car, wrists tied, the phone gone. Streetlights flashed through the tinted windows, but she couldn't tell where they were heading. Panic started to rise in her chest, but she forced herself to stay calm, to listen. 2 men were speaking in the front, low voices in Hindi, thinking she was still unconscious. "She doesn't know everything," one said. "She was just trying to return the phone. We shouldn't have grabbed her. It's too late now. She's seen too much. If she finds the backup location." A broken barrier caught her breath. Backup location? What was Araf involved in? They stopped suddenly. The door opened, and a voice barked, "Out!" She was pulled into an old warehousey, dusty, abandoned, and cold. One man stayed behind, guarding the door. The other dragged a chair to the center of the room and shoved her into it. "We told you to walk away," he said, face partially hidden under a hoodie. "But you just had to keep digging." Rhea looked up. blood rushing to her ears. "Where's Araf?" The man paused, then let out a short, sharp laugh. "That's the wrong question," he said. "The right one. I say, who is Araf?" Her heart dropped. He continued, "You think you knew him because of a few voice notes and morning calls? Araf's been lying to everyone. The phone was never lost. It was planted. You were the plan." The words hit her like a slap. Rhea couldn't make sense of it. Araf had seemed genuinely confused, annoyed, but real. Not someone who could fake months of conversations. Not someone who could. But then she remembered something strange. That first voice note he sent. He'd called her by name. How did he know her name before they'd even introduced themselves? Everything inside her twisted. Had she been pulled into this on purpose? Was the chaos from the start part of something larger? The man stepped closer. "You still have one piece we need, and if you don't hand it over..." The lights suddenly flickered. A new voice echoed from the shadows. "She doesn't have it." "I do." Rhea turned. It was Araf, but something in his eyes had changed. Rhea froze. Her eyes locked on Araf, standing just beyond the flickering light, bruised, worn, but very much alive. The tension in the room shifted instantly. Even the man in the hoodie stepped back, surprised. Araf's voice was steady, but something in his face was unreadably like he was someone else entirely now. "I told you to stay away," he said quietly, eyes flicking to Rhea. "This wasn't supposed to involve you." Rhea's voice cracked. "You planned all this?" "The phone?" "Me?" Araf stepped forward, hands raised, trying to calm the air. "Not everything, but yes, parts of it." That phone held a security breach, one that could bring down a major financial network. "I was asked to leak it, anonymously, as a whistleblower. But someone found out. They tried to erase me." He turned to the man in the hoodie. "But you missed one thing. I always make backups." From his jacket, Araf pulled out a tiny chip no bigger than a SIM card. The room went still. "This is what you want, right?" he said. "Then let her go." The man reached for the chip, but Araf was faster. He threw it across the room right into the rusted metal pipe. "It's over," he said. "Police are already on the way. You've got 5 minutes." The man cursed and ran, his partner following. Araf rushed Rhea, untying her hands. Rhea looked at him, still shaken. "So this whole time your broken bar was just a cover?" Araf hesitated. "At first, yes. But then it stopped being just a plan." "You weren't supposed to matter, Rhea." "But you did." Sirens blared in the distance. Flashing red and blue lights lit the warehouse walls. Araf squeezed her hand, and for a moment, it felt real. But just as the police stormed in, Rhea turned only to see Araf was gone. No trace, no explanation, just the phone in her bag, a broken bar and single new message. "Thank you." But some truths are safe or hidden. And that's when Rhea realized a broken bar. She never really knew who Araf was. Days passed, but Rhea couldn't stop replaying everything. The messages, the swap, the voice notes, and that final moment at the warehouse. Araf had vanished as suddenly as he appeared, leaving behind nothing but that message on the phone. The authorities confirmed the arrest of 2 men involved in a major cybercrime network, but Araf's name wasn't on any report. It was like he'd never existed. She went back to her usual routine: college, work, evenings at the cafe. Copyright A. But something had shifted inside her. There were moments when she'd check her phone, almost expecting another message to pop up. Sometimes, she'd think she saw someone like him in a crowd, only for it to be a stranger. The entire experience had left her with a strange mix of closure and curiosity. Eventually, the phone stopped working. She took it to a technician who said the chip had been remotely wiped to completely clean, like a fresh device. No history, no contacts, nothing. Whatever secrets it had once held were now gone for good. Still, Rhea held onto the black phone cover. It was the only physical proof that any of it had happened. And maybe, in some way, it reminded her that even the smallest moments are like picking up the wrong phone could turn your world upside down. She started journaling about it, writing down everything. Not just what happened, but what she felt. The confusion, the fear, the moments of connection. That strange pull between 2 people who never met properly, but somehow mattered to each other in ways no one else could understand. Her story slowly became something others wanted to hear, and eventually, she shared it on her blog titled Love Dialed Wrong. Chaos on Call. It went viral. People related to it not just for the mystery, but for the idea that even brief connections can leave a lasting impact. In the end, Rhea didn't get all the answers. But maybe she didn't need them. Because life wasn't always about finding out everything. It was about what you learned along the way. And somewhere out there, if Araf was still watching, she hoped he knew while broken bar she forgave him. Even if she never heard from him again.